Alhamdulillah, in the name of Allah, who is the most merciful, the most kindful. Have you ever felt like you were drowning in the weight of everything? Like no matter how hard you tried, nothing seemed to work, and the world just kept spinning while you stood still, exhausted, unseen. If you're there right now, this is for you. You see, pain isn't the enemy, it's a messenger. It's not here to destroy you. It's here to wake you, to remind you that growth rarely happens in comfort, that sometimes the only way to rise is to first be broken open. I know it hurts. The waiting, the uncertainty, the nights when you cry so quietly that not even your pillow knows your secrets. But I want you to remember this, even in silence, you are being heard. Even in stillness, you are being shaped. Maybe what you're going through isn't a setback. Maybe it's a setup for you to shed what no longer serves you and to step into who you were always meant to become. Storms don't last forever, but they do reveal what's real. They strip away what's fragile and show you what's unshakable. And you are unshakable. So don't rush the process. Don't curse the pain. Instead, ask it what it came to teach you. Because one day you'll look back and realize this very moment of struggle was not your breaking point. It was your turning point. And when you rise, not if, but when, you'll see that every scar, every tear, every unanswered prayer was never wasted. It was all preparation for the strength you now carry quietly within you. So breathe. You're not behind. You're not forgotten. You're becoming. Pain is not punishment. It's purification. So often when we go through pain, our first instinct is to ask, why me? We see struggle as a form of punishment, as if we've done something wrong, as if we are being singled out by life or by God for suffering. But what if pain isn't meant to punish us at all? What if pain is a form of purification, a sacred, invisible process meant to cleanse our hearts, refine our character, and draw us closer to what is real? Pain has a way of stripping away illusions. When everything is easy, we can become attached to comfort, success, and control. We start to believe that we are self-sufficient, that we hold the power to shape every outcome. But pain arrives and shatters that illusion. It reminds us that control was never truly ours to begin with. It humbles us in a way that comfort never could. It softens a heart that may have grown hard, distracted, or detached. Pain purifies not by destroying us, but by removing the layers that keep us from authenticity, from humility, empathy, and spiritual depth. When a goldsmith wants to purify gold, he places it in fire. The heat burns away impurities, and what emerges is something stronger, brighter, more valuable. The gold doesn't enjoy the fire, but the fire is what makes it pure. Similarly, the soul goes through its own refining process. The pain we feel, whether it's heartbreak, loss, disappointment, or failure, can become that fire. It's not a punishment for being flawed. It's a process that reveals our true essence beneath the noise and illusions of this world. Many people misunderstand pain as evidence that they are unloved or forgotten. But real love doesn't always protect us from hardship. Sometimes it allows hardship to transform us. The child who never faces challenge will never develop resilience. The person who never feels pain may never learn compassion. Through our pain, we learn to see the suffering of others with new eyes. We become gentler, more understanding, and more capable of genuine connection. Pain purifies our hearts from arrogance, selfishness, and indifference. It breaks the ego's grip and opens space for humility, patience, and grace. There's a quiet beauty in the moments when we finally stop resisting pain and begin to listen to it. Pain speaks not in words, but in transformation. It tells us where we've placed our trust, where we've built on fragile ground. It shows us the attachments that no longer serve us and the relationships or habits that were never truly aligned with our growth. In this way, pain doesn't destroy, it reveals. It teaches us what truly matters and invites us to let go of what doesn't. When we begin to see pain as purification, we stop resenting it and start learning from it. We begin to understand that what we lose through pain may not be meant for us, and what remains after the storm is what was always meant to stay. Purification is not an easy process. It involves discomfort, vulnerability, and tears, but it is also deeply sacred, because on the other side of pain is a heart that is cleaner, softer, and freer. A heart that has learned that strength isn't about never breaking. It's about how we rise after we do. The next time you find yourself in a painful season, try not to see it as punishment. Instead, see it as a moment of cleansing, an invitation to release what's heavy and return to what's pure within you. Pain may feel like it's breaking you, but often it's simply breaking away the layers that are not truly you. It's refining you, polishing you, preparing you. And though it may hurt now, one day you'll look back and realize that what felt like fire was actually light, purifying you into someone wiser, stronger, and more whole than you were before. When everything falls apart, it's often falling into place. There are moments in life when it feels like the entire world is collapsing around you. When plans unravel, relationships end, doors close, and the path that once seemed clear suddenly disappears. In those moments, the heart cries out in confusion. Why now? Why this? It feels like chaos, like everything you've built is being torn apart piece by piece. But what if this breaking isn't the end? What if it's the quiet beginning of something new, something far more aligned with who you are becoming rather than who you once were? We spend much of our lives trying to hold things together. We plan, we predict, we build dreams carefully, brick by brick. Yet, life has a way of reminding us that we are not the architects of ultimate outcomes. When things fall apart, it can feel cruel, but sometimes it's the universe's or God's way of removing what we would have never let go of ourselves. We often cling to comfort zones, to people, places, or identities that once felt safe but no longer serve our growth. The falling apart is not destruction for destruction's sake. It's divine reorganization. It's the unseen hand rearranging the pieces of your life so they finally fit the truth of your soul. It's only when something collapses that we begin to see what it was built upon. Many of us construct our lives on fragile foundations. Approval from others, worldly success, temporary highs, or relationships that fill our loneliness but not our purpose. When those foundations crack, we feel shattered, but the breaking exposes what was unstable all along. It reveals where we've placed our trust and where we've built on sand instead of stone. Sometimes things have to fall apart so that something real, something lasting can be built in their place. Think of a seed buried in the ground. From the outside, it looks like it's being destroyed. Its shell breaks, its form changes, it disappears beneath the soil. But that breaking is not the end. It's the transformation that allows new life to grow. Likewise, when your world seems to crumble, it might be that something within you is germinating. A new version of yourself ready to emerge. The pain of loss can be the soil in which your strength takes root. The confusion can become clarity over time. The emptiness can create the space for purpose to enter. It's hard to see that when you're in the middle of it. When you're standing in the ruins, it feels impossible to imagine that this could be good, but hindsight has a gentle way of revealing what the heart couldn't see then. You begin to realize that the ending was necessary, that the heartbreak was protection, that the closed door saved you from a path not meant for you. You see that the chaos wasn't random, it was redirection. The truth is, growth rarely feels like growth when it's happening. It feels like loss, confusion, and waiting. But the very moments that seem to be breaking you are often aligning you with something greater. Life doesn't always fall apart to punish you. It falls apart to push you toward alignment, toward peace, truth, and purpose. So if you're watching your plans crumble, if the life you imagined is slipping away, hold on, breathe, trust that the breaking has meaning. Because one day, you'll look back and see that what felt like destruction was actually design. That while you thought everything was falling apart, it was, in truth, falling beautifully, purposefully into place. Let go of the illusion of control. We spend so much of our lives trying to hold everything together. Our plans, our relationships, our image, our future. We convince ourselves that if we can just work harder, think smarter, or stay vigilant enough, we can keep life from slipping out of our grasp. Control becomes our comfort, our shield against uncertainty. Yet, life has a way of showing us, gently at first, and then all at once, that control is an illusion. We were never truly in charge of outcomes. We can influence, we can prepare, we can choose our actions, but we cannot dictate results. Letting go of control doesn't mean giving up. It means releasing the need to manipulate everything into fitting our idea of how life should be. It means trusting that there is a wisdom greater than our own, one that sees the whole picture while we only see a fragment. The human heart often clings to plans because unpredictability feels like danger. But the truth is, control gives a false sense of safety. It keeps us trapped in anxiety, always fearing what might go wrong, always trying to outsmart the unknown. The moment we let go, we discover that surrender isn't weakness, it's freedom. There's a deep peace that comes when you finally stop fighting the flow of life. When you realize that not every closed door is a rejection and not every delay is a failure. Sometimes the things we desperately want to happen would harm us if they did. Sometimes the things we resist are the very experiences that shape us into who we need to become. By loosening our grip, we make space for grace to work, for life to unfold in ways we could have never planned but will later deeply understand. Think of trying to hold water in your hands. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips through your fingers. But if you open your palms and let it rest, it stays. Control works the same way. The harder we try to dominate life, the more it resists us. But when we relax our grip, when we trust, things begin to flow naturally. We learn to respond instead of react, to move with life rather than against it. Letting go doesn't mean indifference. It doesn't mean we stop caring or making effort. It means doing our part with sincerity and then releasing the outcome with faith. It's saying, I'll plant the seed, but I trust the rain to come when it's meant to. There is serenity in knowing that you can do your best without being burdened by what lies beyond your control. It's a shift from fear to faith, from constant striving to quiet surrender. Sometimes life takes things out of our hands to remind us that we were never meant to carry everything alone. Control is heavy, surrender is light. The moments that break our illusion of control, the failed plans, the unanswered prayers, the unexpected detours, are not punishments. They are invitations to trust more deeply. They teach us that the world doesn't collapse when we stop managing every detail. In fact, it often begins to make sense in new and gentler ways. So, when you find yourself clinging tightly to what you think must happen, pause. Ask yourself, what if it's okay to let go? What if you could rest in the unknown and still be safe? Because real strength isn't found in holding on to control. It's found in learning to release it. The moment you stop fighting what you can't change, you begin to see that life has always been moving for you, not against you. And in that surrender, you don't lose power, you find peace. Storms reveal your anchor. It's easy to believe we're strong when the sea is calm, when everything in life feels predictable and safe. But it's only when the storm hits, when the winds howl and the waves rise, that we truly discover what anchors us. The calm never tests the depth of our faith, our resilience, or our purpose. The storm does. It strips away illusions and exposes what we hold on to when everything else is shaking. When life is smooth, we often mistake comfort for stability. We think our strength comes from our achievements, relationships, or routines. But storms have a way of challenging that illusion. They come suddenly. A diagnosis, a heartbreak, a loss, a failure, and in their chaos, they reveal where we've placed our trust. Have we anchored ourselves to things that shift and fade, or have we found something steady, something unshakable beneath the surface? An anchor doesn't stop the storm, it keeps the ship from drifting away in it. In the same way, having an inner anchor, a grounding belief, faith, or sense of purpose doesn't remove life's hardships, but it keeps you steady through them. Without that anchor, every wave of uncertainty pulls you further into fear and despair. You begin to drift into anxiety, into anger, into hopelessness. But when you are anchored in something deeper, in values, in faith, in meaning, you can endure what once felt impossible. Storms are not meant to destroy you. They're meant to reveal you. They show you what's real. They uncover what's fragile and strengthen what's true. They force you to ask, what do I truly depend on? What gives me peace when everything else falls apart? Sometimes the answer surprises you. Sometimes you realize that what you thought was your source of stability was only temporary. The job title, the approval, the relationship, these can all be beautiful gifts, but they were never meant to hold the full weight of your soul. When the storm comes, you may lose things you thought you couldn't live without, but in that loss, you find what truly sustains you. You learn that peace isn't the absence of storms. It's the presence of an anchor that holds you through them. And often, it's through those very storms that your faith deepens, your perspective widens, and your heart softens. You come out on the other side not untouched, but transformed, stronger, wiser, and more compassionate than before. Imagine a tree in the middle of a storm. The wind thrashes its branches. The rain beats against its trunk. Yet, if its roots are deep, it stands. The storm doesn't destroy it. It makes the roots dig even deeper into the earth. Your struggles do the same. Every hardship invites you to go deeper within yourself, to find grounding not in what's fleeting, but in what's eternal. The more you root yourself in that depth, the less you fear the storms to come. So when the winds of life begin to howl, don't panic. Ask instead, what is my anchor? What holds me steady when everything else trembles? Because that's where your truth lives. The storm might rage, but it cannot take away what's deeply anchored within you. It can only clear the surface, remove what was never meant to last, and leave behind the strength that was always there, quiet, enduring, unbreakable. And one day when the sky clears and the sea stills, you'll look back and realize that the storm wasn't your enemy. It was your teacher. It came not to uproot you, but to remind you of how deeply you are grounded and how much stronger you've become because of it. Healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means transforming. There's a common misconception that to heal is to erase, to wipe away every trace of pain, to forget the memories that hurt, to pretend the past never happened. But real healing doesn't look like that. It's not about forgetting the wound. It's about transforming your relationship with it. Healing means you can look at what once broke you and no longer feel shattered by it. It means the pain no longer controls you. It has shaped you, strengthened you, and taught you something profound about who you are. When we are hurt, our instinct is often to run from the pain. We bury it under business, distractions, or denial, hoping time alone will make it disappear. But unacknowledged pain doesn't vanish. It settles into the corners of the heart, waiting for us to face it. Healing begins the moment we stop avoiding and start listening, when we finally allow ourselves to feel what we've suppressed. The grief, the anger, the disappointment. We open the door to transformation, because pain, when faced with honesty and gentleness, becomes a teacher. To heal is to reclaim the parts of yourself you lost in the struggle. It's not a single moment of triumph. It's a journey. Sometimes slow, sometimes painful, but always sacred. Every tear shed is a cleansing. Every quiet night of reflection is an act of rebuilding. Healing doesn't erase the past, it redeems it. It turns what was once your breaking point into a place of wisdom. You begin to see that what once hurt you now fuels your compassion, that the experiences which made you cry now allow you to comfort others who cry the same way. People often believe that if they still remember, they haven't healed. But memory is not the enemy. The goal of healing isn't amnesia, it's peace. It's the ability to remember without being consumed. It's the shift from asking, why did this happen to me? To what did this teach me? In that shift lies liberation. You're no longer a victim of your story. You become its author. You can revisit the pain without reliving it. You can tell your story without trembling. That is healing. Healing also asks for patience. The heart doesn't mend on command. Just as a physical wound takes time to close and form a scar, emotional wounds need time, care, and space. Some days you'll feel strong. Other days you'll feel like you're breaking all over again. That's okay. Healing is not linear. It's a spiral. You circle back to the pain, but each time you rise with a little more understanding, a little more grace. Eventually, what once felt unbearable begins to feel lighter. The wound that once bled becomes a scar that speaks not of pain, but of perseverance. Your scars are not signs of weakness. They are symbols of survival. They tell the world that you have been through the fire and emerged, not untouched, but transformed. You may not be the same person you were before, but perhaps that's the point. Maybe healing isn't about returning to who you were. It's about becoming who you were meant to be all along. So don't rush your healing. And don't mistake your remembering for failure. The pain you feel is not a punishment, it's a passage. Every day you choose to face it, you reclaim a piece of your power. One day you'll wake up and realize that the ache has softened, that the heaviness has lifted, and that you can breathe again. Not because you forgot, but because you transformed. You didn't go back to who you were. You grew into someone stronger, wiser, and more whole. That's the quiet miracle of healing, not erasure, but rebirth. Every ending hides a beginning. Endings are among the hardest parts of life to accept. Whether it's the loss of someone you love, the closing of a chapter, or the quiet fading of a dream, endings can feel like a kind of death. The death of what was familiar, comforting, or once full of promise. It's natural to grieve them. We hold on to what we know because the unknown feels like emptiness. But what if endings are not the emptiness we fear? What if every ending is secretly the soil of a new beginning? A quiet transition between what has been and what's yet to come. So often, we mourn what has finished without realizing that it may have completed its purpose. Life is made of seasons. Just as winter comes to let the earth rest before spring blooms again, some chapters must close so that others can open. Yet when we stand at the edge of an ending, we rarely see the potential it holds. All we can see is the loss, the empty space left behind. But that space isn't void, it's fertile. It's where something new, something truer begins to take root. Endings are uncomfortable because they dismantle our sense of stability. They remove what's familiar and leave us in a space of in between us, a liminal space where we don't yet know what comes next. But it's in this uncertainty that growth happens. In the pause between what was and what will be, we are stretched, softened, and prepared. The end is not a punishment, it's preparation. It's life's way of creating room for renewal. Think of a caterpillar. To the outside world, the cocoon looks like an ending, still, silent, lifeless. Yet inside that stillness, transformation is unfolding. What appears to be death is actually the process of becoming. The same happens with us. The endings that look like darkness are often the cocoons of our becoming. The heartbreak that feels unbearable may be the beginning of self-discovery. The door that closes may be protecting you from a path that would have led you away from your purpose. The loss that breaks you might be clearing space for blessings you couldn't yet imagine. But beginnings don't always arrive wrapped in clarity. They often come disguised as pain, confusion, or waiting. You may not recognize a new start while standing in the ashes of what was. It's only later, when you've walked through the fire, that you realize something new was being built within you the entire time. You were being reshaped. Your perspective, your strength, your heart. The ending didn't erase you, it refined you. Sometimes it takes a while to understand that you've already stepped into a new beginning. Healing from an ending doesn't mean moving on overnight. It means moving forward, step by step, with openness. It means trusting that life doesn't take without giving, even if what's given doesn't come immediately. It's about faith. Faith that there is meaning even in the breaking, that no chapter closes without making way for another. One day, you will look back on what you once called the end and realize it was the threshold of something extraordinary. You'll see that what felt like loss was actually guidance, what felt like collapse was construction, and what felt like goodbye was grace in disguise. Every ending carries within it a whisper of renewal, a quiet assurance that life doesn't stop, it transforms. So, when you stand before an ending, don't rush to fill the silence. Let it be. Let it teach you. Let it cleanse you of what's outgrown its purpose. Because the moment you stop clinging to what's finished, you'll begin to feel the faint stirrings of something new, something waiting patiently on the other side of surrender. That's the secret beauty of endings. They are never just endings. They are the beginning of becoming, the dawn that follows the darkest night, the proof that life, in all its mystery, always finds a way to begin again.